Making music for a child's heart, body, and mind.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, mommies and daddies at home. Good morning, wonderful children, beautiful Salonix people. How are you doing? Hope you all are staying safe at home. All right. So I am quite impressed with what we had, with what I've seen so far in our previous lesson. You all are really doing well. Thank you very much. Before we go into what we have today, I just want to believe that from what I saw, a good number of us are able to have a full grasp on what is required in order to tag a question. Remember all your punctuation that you need to carry along. Remember the use of your question mark. A question tag will not be complete without a question mark. And then our comma. A few of us, we are dropping our commas behind, but I believe that the next time I bring that up, we should be able to move on properly with it. So, for now, we are going to a new topic, which is active and passive voice. Active and passive voice. Now, remember what I always tell you guys in the classroom. I always remind you, whenever you come across a word, always look out for the verb in that word. Look for the root word. Once you are able to get the origin of the word, even if you are not able to get the origin, at least the root from where the word comes from, then it will be easy to find out, to make good use of that word. So the word active comes from the word act, which is to do, to carry out, to perform. So that's what active means. Forget about passive for today. We'll take a passive some other time, but for now, just concentrate more on the active. So we say active voice describes a sentence where the subject performs the action stated by the verb. Okay. I believe also that we can remember when we once treated sentences or just sentence as a topic. I think we did that in primary 4. Remember, I always make reference to what we've done in relation to what we are doing. You always go from the known to the unknown. So in this case, we've done something on sentences. I believe I've shared your memory there. Beautiful. So when we talk about sentence, remember there are 3 parts of the sentence for introduction, and then from there we're able to break them into 2. Remember the subject, that's the first part of the sentence. The doer, the person that is carrying out the activity there, the person that performs the noun, that is the subject. Then we have the verb, that's the action. Remember, we have also learned that no sentence is correct without a verb. A sentence is that which contains a verb, not necessarily an object, but there must be a verb, and mostly an active verb. Okay. Then we have the object. That's the last part of the sentence. Now, when we talk about active voice, we're talking about that thing, that action, that the doer, that's the first part of the sentence, whichever or whoever you find at the beginning, at the initial part of the sentence, that's the part we call the subject. So whichever action that subject carries out, that's what we call active. I'll take that again. I said active voice talks about when you're trying to describe an action that the subject, that's the person you're seeing at the first part of the sentence, the subject, whichever action he or she carried out, it could even be an animal, it could be anything, any form of noun. As long as the first part or the subject carried out that action, then the statement or sentence is said to be active. Now take a look at these two examples I have on the board. Number one, Graham saw the book. Graham saw the book. Number two, Sardonic's boys are beating the drum. Sardonic's boys are beating the drum. The first action, someone did something there who happens to be Graham. There was an action that the subject carried out, which is saw. Something else received that action, which is the book. Number two, a set of people did something. Those people are Sardonic's boys. The verb here, the helping verb here is the are, and the active verb rather, is beating. Now, Sardonic's boys carried out an action, and the name of the action, the kind of action they carried out here is beating. Something else received the action, which is the drum. The drum. Now take a look at this. In sentence 1, like what I've explained previously, the book received an action, which is that it was torn. The action the book received was that it was torn. And in the second sentence, the drum equally received an action of being beaten. In the both sentences, the verbs are in active voices. Now, other things you need to pay attention to is, when we talk about active voices are those voices in which you make your normal statements. Simple sentences you make all the time are usually stemmed from active voices. They are the normal voice we use for speech some of the time, if not all the time. Remember, in this case, you are not reporting anything. You're just saying it exactly as it happened. You're stating it according to the way the doer or the subject carried out the action. That's what we mean when we talk about active voice. Now, don't mistake this with direct or indirect speech. They all belong in different families. So, we come. In the next one, I'm going to give you more examples. By the time we pay attention to much more examples, it will help you to understand what we're going to. Now take a look at the further examples we have there. The boys are crying. The boys are crying. Who are the ones that are doing the action here? The boys. What is the verb there? Are crying. Now I want to take your mind back to something. Remember what I said about sentences. I said a sentence must contain a subject, a verb, and not necessarily an object. This sentence is a clear indication of that. Now look at it. The boys are crying. This sentence contains a subject and a verb only. There is no object in this sentence. That doesn't stop the sentence from being sensible. It makes perfect sense. So in this case, it's just a normal sentence. We are not going into different complex or different types of sentences. So let's just stop at this. So when we talk about the boys are crying, we are talking about a statement that was said in its active tone. The boys carried out an action, and the action of the boys there is that they cried. The next one we have eaten the food. We have eaten the food. I hope you can still remember your tenses of verbs when we talk about present tense, past participles, and all that. We've done that sometime first term. So I believe we can remember what type of sentence this is. So we come back again. We have eaten the food. We are the people that carried out the action. We are the one that performed the action. Remember the helping verb here, have. The active verb or the action verb, eating, though it's in its past participle form, and then there is a subject there, which is the food. The next one we have, the objects. There we go back again. Okay, I'm going to take that number 2 again. We have eaten the food. We are the object, the subjects that carried out the action. Have is the helping verb, and then we have eating. Eating is the active verb, and then the food, which is the object. That is the receiver of the action. Now, we continue. I have killed the snake. I performed the action. I am the doer of the action. I have killed the snake. We have the last one. The boys are sleeping. The boys are sleeping. Remember, the boys here is the subject. They are the ones who performed the action. You see me I hope you are following my pointer. My pointer laser here. You can see where it's pointing at. The boys are sleeping. The boys are the ones who performed the action. Pay attention again. This last sentence I'm pointing at now and the first one here are similar. Remember what I told you? A sentence does not always have to contain an object, but a verb must be there. Okay, so we said the boys are sleeping. The action here was carried out by the boys. And what action did they actually carry out? They slept. Remember, when we talk about a verb, we said a verb is an action word. Whichever word that tells you an act, that tells you of something that was carried out, that's what we call verb. So when we talk about active verb, the first thing that should come to your mind, remember what the first thing I said that should come to your mind? Act. I always leave you with little bits of little things that will be able to help you remember faster. In the case of active voice, the first thing that should come to your mind should be act. Remember, I gave you a clue in a question tag. I told you something. When it comes to identifying statements, responses, statements, tags, and responses. Remember what I told you? You start with your positive, you go with your negative, then you come back to positive. The same way I'm giving you another clue here. When you get to the area of active voice, just forget about the passive for now, like I told you before. The first thing you should always have in mind should be active. Act, do, carry out, and all that. So I believe with this now you'll be able to do something on your own. And then remember, attached to this video is a complete note on this topic. Like we did the other time, try as much as you can to read it slowly. Don't be in a rush to read it. Then you copy it out neatly, and then on the classwork section you're going to see your activity to carry on, and then of course your homework, your assignment will also be sent across to you. And I want to believe you guys are also staying safe. Keep being safe, stay home. I love you guys.